Welcome to the IceCast.
Hello, welcome to IceCast Episode 2. I'm your host, Kessler, and I've got with me my trusty co-hosts, Cheesy and Homie. Welcome. Today we're going to be talking to you about what you do when you plateau at a game that you're trying to get better at, and you just feel like no matter what, you can't get better, you can't rank up, you just feel like maybe you're even getting worse, but you're just like, I'm putting in all the hours, I'm doing all the right things, but I can't rank up. So, Cheesy, what do you do when you get that feeling, and have you ever got that feeling?
Yeah, I've gotten that feeling a lot. What I do usually, depending on the game, so let's take Rocket League. I will practice a crap ton and just keep doing random stuff over and over again. That's usually what I do.
What do you mean by random stuff?
Like I'll do training packs, like we said. Even watching different YouTube videos, like how to maybe improve on little things, just to help out.
Little things are definitely important, because I remember
Yeah.
just there's so much subtlety in all these games. Like my crosshair placement, my Valorant aim is trash. My crosshair placement is all right, but I watched a video, and if I had just moved my crosshair just like literally like an inch on the screen over when I'm walking, checking a corner, it makes so much difference. So it's just learning those little things is real big. All right, homie, what about you?
Well, for me, it's usually like I'll watch pros play. Like with Rocket League, I'll watch, say, Squishy, Lefemir, those guys. I'll watch them play. Sometimes I'll pick up like a really small thing, or like I'll read about something. I'll pick that up, and then next thing I know, it's just like a really pivotal part of my gameplay. Like I noticed, I think it was Squishy, when he makes turns, he'll power slide the turn. That was back when I was in like Diamond 3-ish, Diamond 2. Then after I noticed that, I just noticed I was a lot quicker. I was able to turn a lot easier and that sort of thing. It really helped boost my game.
That's smart. I remember watching some of those. They had the videos. They have the controller, like where you can see where they're pressing, and they're just going so fast. I'm like, what are they doing, man?
Yeah, especially if they're like doing aerials and stuff, bro. Like it's not even worth watching the controller.
It's like I just trying to look at, okay, where did they hit power slide? Because obviously, like, it's hard to tell when they're doing that just watching their car. So I was like watching that, and like the button was flashing so fast, it was giving me a seizure. So it's like, okay.
Or have you seen people use keyboard on that shit?
I
Oh
No.
my god.
don't even want to get started on that, man. It's
Keyboard, like
ridiculous.
I've seen some of Yukio stuff because he plays on keyboard, and he has his keys on the screen and everything. And oh my god, he presses the keys so fast. It's crazy. How do you even get good at keyboard? That's my question.
You develop arthritis when you're 50, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So I remember we talked about mental game last time, so we don't want to talk too much about the mental game and mindset, but have you noticed any mindset shifts that you've had to make when you've plateaued, and that has led you to overcoming that?
At the moment, I am taking a break from Rocket League just because I feel like I haven't gotten anywhere. And maybe one day I'll come back. But at the moment, I just feel like my time is spent better in other games or learning new things on YouTube. I don't know, just take your mind off of it for a minute, and then you might be able to come back and be better, because you still have the experience of all those hours, but now you have a clear mind.
Yeah, that's definitely a good thing to do. Just kind of take a break from it, because usually you'll be kind of frustrated that you're plateauing and you can't get anywhere. Just taking your mind off that, like you said, playing different games, doing different things, that could definitely help out, kind of relieve some of that tension there.
I agree. It's just it just kind of feels counterproductive when you just think about it objectively, because it's like, oh, it's time you're not spending practicing. It's time you're not spending grinding. Like, you're just sitting there in shitter 2 rank or whatever, and it's like, oh, well, let me just take a break. But it actually just does a lot for your mindset of clear, and it clears your bad habits too, which is huge.
Definitely huge.
Absolutely huge.
Yeah, because like I said, people think of it as just a waste of time because people just, when they can't get anywhere, they just try to grind, and that's just not for everybody. You know, some people just should try to take a break and see what that does for them. Maybe it'll help.
Yeah, there's practicing smart and there's practicing hard. You know, and obviously you're gonna have to practice hard if you want to get somewhere, but you have to be smart about it. And we have lives outside of games, so you
I don't.
maybe when quarantine is over, you'll have a life outside of the games, but you know, you have
No.
a very limited time of practicing, based on your other commitments. So you have to use that very efficiently. And we can talk about practicing efficiently in a future episode.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, man. That's definitely that's a big part of it. You know, just trying to work on things that you know you're doing wrong, as well as working on things that you can do better that you're not necessarily doing wrong. Those are huge parts of it. You know, just finding what you're not doing right, and just specifically working on that. That could really help boost you.
Yeah, for me, I try to like think of bad habits that I have and try to point out every time. Like, I'll just kind of autopilot, but point out every time I make a bad habit. For example, in Smash Brothers, I was rolling too much, or like I was always jumping at them to approach instead of dashing, or trying to just run up and grab, or maybe even just like run up a little bit and shield and try to draw something out. And I was always jumping at them, so they would always be ready to encounter it. So every time I had to focus and be like, okay, I got to mix this up. You know, I jumped at him the last 3 times, can't jump at him again. And I would always roll too much out of shield, and I'd be like, okay, like I rolled out of shield, that's bad. And then just every time I start pointing it out to myself more, and then I start incorporating other options, and then pretty soon it's ingrained in my head to mix it up. Whereas before I just had that bad habit. One thing I'm working on now is I'm trying to incorporate bumping more into my game. It's because at the higher levels they bump a ton, and it just creates these small windows of opportunity that your team can exploit. And it's hard because I never really went for bumps before.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes like if they're in the way, yeah, okay, I'll bump them. But like, I never went out of my way to bump anybody.
Yeah. Bumping's a hard skill though. Like,
Yeah, because you got to know when to do it.
exactly.
There's times to do it and times not to do it, and times where you're like, I don't know. And it could
But
be pretty hard to demo and bump sometimes,
Yeah.
Just gotta get good with that.
Just think of the old axiom: if you don't know, go for a demo. I actually don't know if that's about right, but a ton.
Yeah.
The team we lost to in RLCS in 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Wow, it was 4 years ago, so long ago. They had one player carry them, and the other 2 just bumped. And it worked because we got tilted.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
that's another thing about plateauing is not tilting. Is you have to get past your tilt and really be introspective. Obviously, we talked about that last time, so we're not gonna really dive into it. But you just gotta be able to look at your play style in your games as if you're watching someone else play and trying to make them better.
Mm-hmm. Also, a big part, you got to be able to accept criticism, because the best feedback you're gonna get is feedback from your teammates, because they're because like how we were saying last time, you notice your teammates' mistakes more than you notice your own. So your teammates are gonna notice your mistakes more than you notice your own. So you got to be able to, take that with a grain of salt, but just work on it and get better at that certain thing.
Especially if you play with people who are better than you, like better enough to see your mistakes, they'll be able to point them out to you. And some people aren't good at. Some people have what's called the curse of knowledge, which is the phenomenon that you get so good at something you forget what it's like to be a beginner at that thing.
Yeah.
And it really hinders their ability to teach you something. Because like if you just think about how you would teach a beginner aerials, out of like, and trying to get them to good like decently good aerials after, I don't know, 5 to 10 hours of gameplay or practice or whatever. It's like, what would you tell them? Because obviously, there's more to it than just, oh, tilt your car back and press B. Like, that's in a tutorial. But you have to provide that extra value, and you have to kind of go back and remember, like, what it was like to never aerial before.
Yeah, that's why I feel like mid to high GCs coaching bronze just doesn't really work. Well, it does work, but only to a certain extent, Okay, yeah, because like you were saying, the curse of knowledge, where they don't know what it's like to be all the way down there because they most likely started at like gold or platinum. They don't know what it's like to not know anything, like actually be stuck in bronze.
Or they forgot.
Yeah, Musty did a video where he pretended to be a bronze and he hired a coach, and so the coach was grand champ, and he was going through like basic stuff, and Musty was doing it all, and then the guy asked her to do a half flip, and it's like he can barely hit the ball supposedly because he was pretending to be bronze. And
Yeah.
you want him to do a half flip like that, and Musty was just like, what? Like, that doesn't make sense.
Maybe the coach suspected it was like a higher ranked player smurfing, and was like,
I mean,
"Oh,
at the
let's
end of the
do a
video,
half
he
flip."
kind of said that, like, he suspected it because the voice changer and everything that he used, but it was just like, even if it wasn't, like, can't expect a bronze to just be able to go and do that.
Bronze players don't need to do that.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
you don't need to. It'd be great if you could hit ceiling shots, as a silver player. Yes, no one's gonna be able to defend it, but you don't need to. Like, you're not gonna get in those kind of situations. And if you're that much better than everyone else mechanically, to where you can just ball on them, you're gonna climb anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But if someone's legitimately that rank, you have to kind of be able to relate to them. Be like, you have to either A, ask yourself, what was I like in that rank? Or B, like, is there small adjustments that this person could make to their game that would improve them? For example, they might hit rollers right to the other team that are pretty soft. You're like, okay, step one, just don't hit it right at the other team. Just like try to roll it, even if they're not popping it up like they should be. Just try to put it away from the team or in a good spots for your team. And that's like one small step. And you can even do this with yourself. Just find one small step to improve your game just a little bit.
Yeah, and Kaz, you can kind of relate to that because right now with Valorant, you're doing a lot of Kovacs, getting your aim better, and you're noticing how when you find something to help you practice, like how quickly your aim's getting better, right? You've gotten like a lot better in the past 2 weeks, right?
It's gotten so much better. It still sucks,
exactly,
but it's better.
But it's better, yeah. Yeah, this just also like look at that. Any small improvement is still improvement. You're getting better, and you gotta kind of give yourself a pat on the back for that. You gotta acknowledge yourself for that.
Yeah, it's not a sprint; it's a marathon.
See, I think I just got extremely lucky, because basically my entire life I've just been good at video games. That's probably just because I started playing from a pretty young age, but Rocket League hasn't really been much of a struggle for me to get the champ. There wasn't much going on. I wasn't struggling too bad because I played with a lot of friends who were worse than me. Even when I was back in gold, I played with someone who was gold 1 and someone who was silver 2 when I was gold 3.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really have a struggle even when I was playing with people that were way below me. I didn't really have a struggle even then. And in games like CS:GO. The only FPS I played before that was Call of Duty. And then going from Call of Duty to CS:GO, that's a really big difference. And I actually was pretty good at CS:GO for having no prior experience. Just based on I guess Call of Duty experience,
Did you play Call of Duty on mouse and keyboard?
Back in the day, yeah. Because I played on PC. I played a lot of MW2 and Black Ops 1, MW3. And then I guess just from all that, I was decent at CS:GO. Then also just like knowing what I had to learn, like spray patterns and shit like that. But now I play on controller, so when I get my PC, probably gonna have to get Kovacs.
Hey, I mean, it's working for me. I guess the final thing that I want to talk to you guys about is sometimes improving comes with these little. We touched on this at the beginning. These little things that you don't really notice when you're at a lower level. Like I don't know if this. I think this is called the Dunningkruger Effect. Is that people as they start to improve and they're still kind of beginners, but they're obviously taking that first jump and can curb stomp other beginners. They think they're like gods, and then and it's like they're really overconfident. And it's not all of it that just goes to their head. Some of it's they don't know what they don't know, and so they just think that they've mastered their craft when really there's just a lot of subtle stuff out there that they don't know. So I was wondering if you guys had any experience with that kind of thing, and some examples you could provide.
I mean, you could take your last replay and then compare it to a replay of like RLCS. You know, you'll find a lot of differences, but it's the gameplays that are just like a rank or two above you that you'll actually be able to understand the differences in how they're moving, because RLCS is a totally different scene. So it's not worth understanding that when you're not at that level.
Homie, you got any examples or experience with that kind of thing?
Well, okay, so basically you're talking about like how when you're a beginner and you get kind of good and start destroying other beginners, then you get kind of cocky, right? That's what you're talking about?
Right, and part of it's because you just don't know all different subtleties, and you don't know that you don't know them.
Yeah, that's definitely how it was for me with Rocket League. Gold through Platinum through most of Diamond was just extremely easy, you know? I was like, oh yeah, I should definitely be like Champ 2, Champ 3. Even like way back then I thought that just because of how easy it was down in those ranks. Now that I'm up here in Champ 1, it's probably the fact that I don't solo queue and I only play with Champ 2s and Champ 3s. That's probably why I'm stuck in Champ 1 now, but, you know, I'm still stuck there, not really getting anywhere. So it did kind of have an effect on me, I guess.
Well, even then, there probably was stuff that Champ 2s, Champ 3s do that you didn't do back at Diamond or Plat, and you didn't even realize that those were things. Like
Oh,
how
yeah, for sure.
how important is like backboard defense at higher ranks versus at lower ranks? Like
Yeah, because as your opponents get better, you're going to have to get better, you know, obviously. You have to learn how to do more things and how to do them efficiently and effectively.
yeah, and like keeping your momentum up is so big, and when I was bronze, I didn't really do that because I was just trying to play as if I was like a human instead of a car playing soccer, and that mindset change is something pretty big, and you don't really think of it at first how much different it is than human soccer because you're just like, oh, I know soccer. It's like indoor soccer, you got the walls and everything, but it's like I know soccer, but the car and the human, besides the fact that you can aerial, just behave very differently. Do you guys have any closing thoughts on this subject of how to get out of the plateau or above the plateau?
Keep that bread coming in, bro.
You got to keep a positive mindset. You can't be thinking negatively because then you're definitely not going to get anywhere. And if anything, you'll just get worse. So mindset and positivity is definitely a really big thing.
It's a very good point. Thank you all for tuning in to IceCast episode 2, all about getting out of the plateaus, and we will see you in the next one.
Later.
Peace out.